Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I'm so humbled to be here, to be able to share my experiences with Swami. And today, I only want to talk about that little carrot that Swami dangles in front of us, which we call as his miracles. You know, when I started coming to Swami, actually, you all know Lakshmi. She was my mentor in bringing me to Swami, and that's a long story we'll share another time. But I'm so utterly grateful and thankful for my beautiful friend Lakshmi to introduce Swami to me. I came to Swami in a very weird way. I was, I somebody had given me the address to Manhattan Center, and they had asked me that I should go there somewhere someday, and I just brushed it off. And one of the days on Onam festival or Ugadi festival, I was walking from my work and flipping through my emails. What are the chances that a 3-month-old email will pop up on my phone? And it gave me the address of Manhattan Sai Center at that time, which was being held in a church, which is another beautiful, amazing Swami's work. So the church was literally on my way to home. So I decided, okay, I don't have any other plans. Let me go check this place out. What is this place? So I walked over and I went in. Bhajans were going on. I didn't know anybody. I sat down at the back, absolute back of the, hall, thinking that I'll sneak out in a few minutes. Because what am I doing here? As I sat down and I heard to the girl who was singing bhajans, within a few minutes I saw myself crying. Tears were flowing through my eyes, and I did not know what happened. I did not know why I was crying. I did not know what was happening, and I was so embarrassed. I was like, where do I hide? So I tried to sneak out. And the president of Manhattan Center always stands at the door, and he sent me right back in. He says, no, please go and sit down, and you leave after the aarti gets over and we distribute vibhuti. So I'm like, okay. So I went quietly, sat down back, and after the bhajans, there was this amazing guest speaker who spoke a lot about Swami's different miracles. And I wondered who was Satya Sai Baba. I had seen his pictures before in India, but I never knew who he was until that time. This was in March 2012. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see Swami in his body form, never got his darshan, which has been a regret of my life since I came to know Swami. I'm going to start not in order of the miracles, but since I'm talking about this, I want to talk about how that craving, every time I would talk to Sai devotees, somebody or the other would mention, oh, I went to Prashanti and Swami was there walking, he looked so radiant and he gave me Pad Namaskar, he gave me interview, and I would just cringe inside thinking, why did I come to Swami so late? Why did I not come at least 1 year before where I could have seen him? Why did I lose on this opportunity? When am I going to see him? When am I going to feel his presence? And last year, I got an opportunity to come to India after 5 years. And I was talking to Lakshmi about it randomly. I stayed over at Lakshmi's place and we went to a farm. I'm not sure if you know the lady, her name is Aparna. She owns a farm in Noida. We went to a farm. I was talking to her husband and he invited us home. So I went to his home. They are both devotees of Sai Baba, and what a beautiful home, what amazing work they do in that farm. And while we were chit-chatting, her husband did not know anything about my craving for Swami's presence. I just randomly mentioned to him, I wish I'd come to Swami when I could see him, because I miss out. Like anytime somebody says, I saw Swami, I got to touch him, I got to feel him, I feel very sad inside. So he said, come with me. He takes me into his room and he takes out a box and he takes out a piece of paper and he said, this is for you. So I'm like, oh, I'm so humbled, but what is this? I cannot accept any gifts from you. He says, please open it. This is something that Swami is sending for you, so you have to open it and see what is inside. So I opened the paper. In that, his wife Aparna, who is a student of Swami's college in Anantapur, um, she had been blessed by Swami. The girls were joking with Swami one day, and Swami said, "What do you want? What do you want, girls?" And Swami and these girls, out of having fun, said, "Swami, we want your hair." What they meant is, "We want hair like you." And Swami just pulled out a bunch of his hair and gave it to them and said, "Here, you have my hair." And I was so humbled, and this will bring tears to my eyes, because both Aparna and her husband so kindly, just because they heard that I craved Swami's presence and his, nearness to him, or me not being able to touch him, they gave me a few strands of his hair, which I hold so close to my heart. This was the most beautiful gift that Swami ever gave me through his. And these are the kind of things that, I'm going to cry a lot, so don't don't pay attention to that. But this was so beautiful because, I talk about this. I'm pretty sure you all have read the book Tapovanam. In Tapovanam, Swami talks about, even before you ask, I shall give. He says it in Tamil in one of the stories. He says, even before you ask, I shall give. And that's what happened. I just, expressed something. I didn't ask for anything. I was just, feeling sad I never got to have Swami with me. And today, look at what he gave me. He gave me a part of him. So that was one of the beautiful, beautiful miracles that I consider Swami coming to me. That was my reward of, praying to Swami, and just, this is the biggest gift I've ever received in my life. Then, while we talk about Tapovanam, so I'm going to move on to my next story. These are very little incidents, I'm pretty sure you all have had much larger or more divine experiences, but these are the incidents that I hold close to my life, because these are the ones that, reinstate my faith every single day. So somebody had gifted me Tapovanam, the book, in 2014. And I had the book for a while, and I wasn't able to find the right time to read it, because the person who had given me this book had said, when you start reading Tapovanam, there is a whole ritual that you have to do. There's 108 name chant, 1008 names chanting. There's a couple of other processes you have to do. You have to have flowers. You have to have certain things. So one fine Tuesday, I decided, okay, this Thursday I'm going to start reading Tapovanam no matter what. So I decided that when I go to Manhattan, when I go to work on Wednesday, I'll bring back the flowers, and Thursday morning I'll start the prayer. So I go to work, end up working late, forget to buy flowers. I come back Thursday morning, I sit down, having no memory that I was supposed to bring flowers. And it was pouring rain that day in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning, I sit down in front of my altar, open the book, start reading the instructions and how to do. And then I realize I don't have flowers. The book says, with each chanting of the name, you have to offer a flower. And I became so sad. I was just devastated. How did I do this stupidity? How did I forget to bring flowers? And I had even made a note for myself to buy the flowers. And it was pouring rain. I couldn't even go down and try to look for flowers on the ground somewhere. So I sat down with a very heavy heart, but I did not want to not start reading the book, because after so many months, I finally managed to find time. So I closed my eyes and I prayed to Swami, Swami, flowers belong to you, this book belongs to you, I belong to you. My desire to read this book is so strong. No matter what, I do not want to not start reading this book. So please forgive me for these small errors and allow me to start reading this book. As I finished this prayer, and I said, in the evening when I come back, I'm going to reread everything that I read this morning, the first chapter and whatever. I'm going to redo the prayers in the evening and bring more flowers. But as of right now, please forgive me and let me start this book. And as I opened my eyes, in front of me, I saw every Thursday when we meet at Manhattan Center, people bring flowers. And those flowers are offered at the altar. And once the meeting gets over, those flowers are distributed to all the devotees. So somebody had brought a small branch of Chinese roses. I don't know if you're aware of Chinese roses. They're this small, very little roses. Each rose may have like 10, 15 petals all together. They're very tiny, very beautiful branches. And I was looking at that branch and somebody gave it to me. So as I opened my eyes, that branch was there. So something clicked in my mind. I said, okay, Swami, these are flowers given from your altar. You know, we offered them to you, you gave them back. I'm going to offer these back to you for now. Please accept those as my humble offering with each name. And I know these will not be enough, but this is just, my way of apologizing. So I started, I plugged, there were only 3 Chinese flowers left on that branch because during the last week, most of them had dried and fallen off, so I had thrown them away. I started chanting the 108 names, one after the other. The first row finished at, I think, 20. The second row finished at another 16. And by the time the third rows came, I knew that this is not going to last. But I closed my eyes and I kept, pulling one petal, and then I would close my eyes, chant the name. Second petal, close my eyes, chant the name. Believe it or not, that rose finished at 108th name. I was so happy. I was so happy. This was like, I don't know how that happened. I have no idea how that happened. There was no way, because both the other earlier 2 roses finished with 20 petals and 16 petals. So how is it possible that one little tiny rose could give me near about 60 petals? But that's exactly what happened. And, once again, when you seek something from Swami, when you offer it with your pure heart, that's how I feel, that he will grant any wish. Only the thought has to be pure. When you take one step towards me, I take 100 towards you. And every single time, he just reiterates and manifests himself in so many ways, over and over again. Sorry, I'm just gonna grab a tissue. But so when that happened, I was so filled with joy, I could not even go to work that day. I just sat there and meditated, feeling the bliss of, being in presence of Swami. Something like this had never happened before. And at that moment, I understood all of what these people, every person that I had heard in Manhattan Center share their experiences and share their beautiful, miracles that have happened. How blissful they must have felt. What beauty they must have experienced, what joy they must have experienced in those moments. Being one with Sai, knowing that Baba is there right in front of you. Nobody can feel alone. Nobody can feel alone with him as your friend, ever. So I took the day off. I went to the market. I brought the flowers in the evening. And I did the whole thing again, of course, this time with 108 flowers. But that didn't mean anything. I just wanted to keep my promise to Swami, but that didn't mean anything. What needed to happen already happened in the morning. And that was one of the beautiful episodes that we had. So again, we keep listening to these experiences, and a lot of time I used to hear about materializations. Somebody would say Vibhuti materialized. Somebody would say we had this amazing, we witnessed this, necklace coming out of the picture and all of those. And I used to wonder, Swami, when am I going to witness something like that? This 108 flowers, this happened very subtle. I want to see something like that. So 2014, 23rd November, Baba's birthday, we have a big celebration. All the centers from New York tri-state area, they get together and celebrate Baba's birthday. There's Akhand Bhajans, and there's a big program that happens. So because the program is overnight, so a lot of people leave in the morning to go shower and come back. I had left around 1 o'clock in the night, showered, meditated, and then come back because I did not want to miss the morning Suprabhata. Near about 400 people attend this program. In the morning, when I came back for the Suprabhatam, there were 50 of us. We were sitting in front of the Baba's picture, and bhajans went on for a little bit, and then we started Suprabhatam. After Suprabhatam, there was followed by 1008 names chanting for Baba's names. And that was my first time doing 1008 names chanting. Initially, I thought, what a boring way, 1008 names, that's way too long. That's way too long. Who's going to sit through all of this and, chant 1008 names? But I sat next to a friend and she taught me, take the rice with these two fingers and, offer it. They provided bags of rice, with each chanting of name, offer the rice. And this is the rice that they will cook for the seva. So I'm like, okay, well, that gives it some meaning. So I was sitting and chanting these 1008 names of Swami. With each name chanting, my commitment to doing this and going through all the 1008 names grew one by one. And I think we were on 900th name when from Baba's picture was with Abhay Hasta, Amrit started flowing from the center of his palm. Because I didn't know anything about this kind of a miracle before, I didn't really pay attention. I was just going on with the name chanting and whatever. But after the 1008 names finished, we never stopped for any break in between. We continued with the non-stop bhajans because it's an Akhand program. But that day we took a 1-minute break where the president announced this divine miracle has happened. Baba has blessed us with his presence and his Amrit. And we are taking a 1-minute front and close. And I could not believe my ears. I'm like, there has to be something. This is not true. So I went close to the picture, looked at it, and then it was dripping one by one from the palm. So I go behind the picture, seeing maybe there's something drama. I look up from the ceiling, maybe something else is dripping from the ceiling. Nothing was happening. Then I go to the other side of the picture, maybe something is coming from there. But no, the Amritam was flowing, drop by drop, drop by drop. It fell into a little bowl. We collected the Amrit. And for the 50 of us who were present there, we got to drink the nectar straight from the bowl. And then the balance was mixed in the entire water that we had for the 400 people, so everyone could enjoy the bliss. When I put that Amrit on my tongue, something happened. The taste of it was so divine, so beautiful. I had never tasted any sweet, no Indian sweet, no Western sweet ever compared to that. There was this beautiful fragrance. The taste was so different than anything that I've tasted in my life. And instantly my body started vibrating. There were vibrations from head to toe. I could not move. I just sat there, closed my eyes, and felt wave after wave of vibrations going through my body. I can still relive it. It gives me goosebumps right now as I talk about it. And at that moment, I was a little scared because I never experienced these vibrations in my body before. So I was like, Swami, whatever is happening, I surrender at your feet. This is something I wanted to experience for myself because, even though I've heard this many times, I wasn't sure if people were looking at it, if everyone investigated it. But now I'm able to witness this. So first of all, thank you. Thank you for blessing me with this vision of Amritam flowing from your hands, because now I know it's true. And more than that, how lucky am I must have done something in my past lives to be able to get this nectar in my mouth. What a blessing, and I don't know what is happening into my body, but I know at this moment, if you please take me away, this will be the most wonderful moment of my life. I surrender, I surrender, I surrender. From now on, my life belongs to you. And with that, bhajan started, and the vibration suddenly disappeared. And I got up from there, I went downstairs, and I don't know, tears didn't stop flowing. Not Those were not tears of sadness, those were tears of joy. So much joy, so much love I felt inside, as if something opened and crashed opened inside of me. And only Baba can do this. Only Him can do this. He comes into your life with full force. He breaks you open, and He fills you with so much love that you cannot be anything but love. That day, everything that I did was in a haze. I love doing seva. So we were serving food, we were cooking food, we were serving, we were cleaning the tables, but it was somebody else doing it. I was almost like an outsider watching me do those things. Just a whole different person in 1 hour, something had changed as I consumed that. So while I talk about this, it brings back another memory of Swami blessing me with something like this, which I had forgotten at this time. In 2012, I started going to the Manhattan Center in March, and in July or August of 2012, I woke up one morning with severe laryngitis. I had lost my voice. I was running extremely high temperature, and I could not move. So one of my friends happened to call me because we were supposed to go drop off some wool for seva. We were knitting baby caps to donate at one of the children's hospital. She called, and I was able to somehow put the phone on speaker, and I said, I'm not feeling well. I cannot move. Unfortunately, you will have to carry on without me. So she said, where are you? I said, I'm at home. So she said, okay, I'm coming. I'm like, no, you'll get late. You have to go to work. You just go. I'll be fine in a few minutes. When I get some strength, I'll go to the doctor. She said, no, I'm coming. Just wait there. Don't go anywhere. So she came, and she brought me materialized vibhuti from Baba. In her house, she has a whole lot of materializations that happen. She brought me materialized vibhuti. At that time, I had no idea what materialized vibhuti was. She also didn't tell me. She just told me, here, I'm here, take this vibhuti and drink it in water before you take any other medicines. And she gave me some vibhuti in the water, and she left for the day. I drank it, and suddenly vibrations started again. And these are the vibrations that I'm talking about that I had forgotten when I experienced the similar vibrations in 2014 on Baba's birthday. And at that time, I was extremely scared. I'm like, I don't know what she gave me. I don't know what she gave me. I think I'm going to die. This is the end. And I'm like, I wish she had told me. I would have at least informed my mother. Now what do I do? So nothing I could do. I wasn't able to move. The vibrations went on, and at some point of time, I passed out. When I woke up next, it was around 12 o'clock that I passed out. When I woke up next, it was around 4:45 p.m. in the evening, and the vibrations were still on. And I'm like, okay. So I open my eyes, and now I'm so confused. I'm like, am I alive? Am I dead? Because I still feel these vibrations. I don't know what is going on. So I tried to move my neck So I'm able to move my neck. Then I try to move my hand, I'm able to move my hand. So I'm like, okay, it looks like I'm either alive or I'm totally dead, because then from all the movies that I've seen, you have already transported into another world and you're able to move everything. So I stood up and I was able to stand up, because when in the morning before taking that vibhuti, it was very difficult for me to even stand up on my feet. So I'm like, I'm able to stand up, but I'm able to feel the floor. That means I'm alive. So I pinched myself and I'm definitely alive. So I'm like, I don't know what happened. So I took a shower, and she had given me this salt, and she told, after you wake up, take a bath with this Himalayan salt water. As I poured water, she said, take a head to toe bath from this Himalayan salt water, mix it in a bucket and shower with it. As I poured that water over my head, it was as if a million ants were crawling all over my body, biting, pinching everywhere. And prior to this, I've had several accidents for my back. So I used to constantly, there was never a day for 13 years that I did not have back pain. That day, as I took that shower, I felt like ants biting all through my body. And I felt so weak after that. I got out of the bathroom and just fell on my bed and passed out again. While I was in that state, I felt, I think it was early in the morning the next day, that suddenly I felt one hand go through my head like that. And I woke up with a sudden shock, because um, I live by myself. Maximum my roommate is a girl. So this was definitely a man's hand. And I woke up, I'm like, I don't know who's there. I don't know who's there. So I woke up, there was nobody. But from that day, my back pain disappeared. I used to have severe headaches. All my headache never happened again. Mild headaches here and there would still happen, because of we dehydrate ourselves and all that. But that kind of pain that used to arise from my neck and back never came back again. So Swami has these amazing, beautiful ways of entering our lives and showing us his presence over and over again, blessing us. And there are so many such incidents. I'll just share one last experience. This was at Manhattan Center. We were officers at Manhattan Center. We were 5 women. And all of a sudden, there came a time where we ran very short on funds. And there's a little donation box that we keep at the entrance of the center. It's an anonymous donation box. And it's almost like a tissue box with a little slit on the top, where you can probably slide in maybe 2 notes if they are folded. So after the center got over that day, me and the other girl who were responsible for, counting the money, putting it in the trust bank, she told me to open the box and count the money, and she would take it to put it in the bank. And that day we had only $45. The rent for the center was coming up, and we were short of near about $2,500, 2,400 and change. So we looked at each other and we said, okay, we have to pay the rent next month. This is all we got. This is the last Thursday before we pay the rent. So we decided that we're going to chip in the money and pay the rent quietly. So we locked up the box, emptied the $45. She took it with her, and we kept the box. We used to have a closed cabinet where we would lock it up, put the box inside, and come back the next week. So we came back the next week, and all the officers get in there almost an hour early to take all the things out from the closet and set up the center. So one by one, we were bringing things out, and then, she took out the box, and she said she felt it was heavy. So she shook the box and she says, Babs, do you see something, there's a noise coming from inside. She says, didn't we empty out the box last time? I said, I'm pretty sure we did. You remember we even talked about it. $45 were there, and I actually have the cash with me to, give for the rent. So she said, yeah, so do I. So what is inside? I said, I don't know. Let's open it. So we opened the thing because, you cannot, whatever was inside was not able to come out if we just turned the box upside down. So we opened the box, the lock, and inside, bundled together with a rubber band, were $2,500. I have nothing more to say. How did they even get there? There was no way. That we've all seen the small donation boxes. You cannot put a bundle of $2,500. There were all sorts of bills: $100 bills, $50 bills, $20 bills, $1 bills, bundled together with a rubber band. There was no way. The bundle was so big. There was no way the bundle could have gone inside. If somebody had put notes one by one and then put a rubber band, that was also impossible. So how did that get there? If it is not for Baba, then who else? So there are stories and stories, with, serving in the center when we think that um, we said yes to Swami. There's this quote which says, when you said yes to me. I sincerely believe we are nobody to say yes to Swami. He chooses us, like Auntie was saying in the beginning. He chooses us. He chooses us, and we are the blessed ones. I feel that's why I feel so humbled and honored to be part of this, because he chooses us to make us his instruments. And in that whole process, he washes you out. He beats the hell out of you when you misbehave. He puts you through so many tests over and over again. There was this gentleman at the Manhattan Center. He was way older to me. And I used to be a very naughty, bubbly kind of a girl when I joined Manhattan Center, not grounded at all. So he would see me like, chatting and laughing and doing all these things, all the work, and always joyful. So he used to call me in the side and he used to say, how's it going with Baba? So I would say, oh, this is wonderful. He's doing so many. I don't know. I must have done something very good to be part of this. He's amazing. He's this and he's that. He's like, oh, really? Wait till the tests come. He always used to say that. Wait till the tests come. And my answer to him would always be, bring it on. Bring it on. Let him bring it on. I am ready. I am ready. And he said, you don't know, lady, what you're asking for. You don't know what trouble you're asking for. And the tests came. They came one after the other. There were so many tests. They always come. But with every test, he also gives us the strength to deal with them. He guides, he protects, and with a little gentle nudge, he pushes us a little higher. So one time on a Thursday, because we would all meet at the center after work, we would be hungry. So as soon as the center meeting would get over around 8:30, then by the time we put away things, we would all be hungry. So it had become a ritual for a couple of us or some of the YAs to go eat dinner later. So that day, Swami's robe was given to one of the officers to take back home and bring it the next week. So that day, I took Swami's robe and I was trying to give it to all the officers, and nobody wanted to take it. So everybody had some or the other reason that they were probably not going to make it the next week. So I said, okay, then I guess this robe stays with me. And I was so happy, like, okay, I finally get to keep the robe twice in this month. So we all went to dinner. The restaurant where we were eating was a flight of steps up because there was a bar under on the ground floor. So we all went up, we all ate, and while we were ready to get out, I got a work call from China. So as we were coming down the steps, I took the call, and those steps were very steep. My attention shifted from looking at the steps. I was focused on the call, and all of a sudden, I had two bags, one my own purse, another bag, and then a bag with Swami's robe. So the bag with Swami's robe started to slide, and I did not want anything to happen to Swami's robe. So all my attention shifted to that bag, and I left everything and I started pulling that bag up. And that's when I skipped a step and fell 15 steps, tumbling down all the way. And my head and my neck, after having had all those accidents before, my neck and head hit the steps so hard over and over again, the whole bar became pin drop silent. The whole restaurant became pin drop silent because the sound was so loud. When I crashed and fell into a small square at the bottom of the steps, it was like probably a 10 by 10 square, and my body totally folded on there. So a couple of my friends had already walked down, so I was the second last person to be coming down. And when I fell, everybody thought that, okay, this is over. There's no way, because the sound of me hitting those hardwood steps was so loud. And then the way I fell, my whole body folded into several different angles in that little square. But as I was falling down, my only thought, I didn't even realize I'm falling down. This is the true, honest thought in my mind. My mind was so focused that, oh God, Swami's robe is with me. It's in a plastic box. I don't want the box to break. And I held on to that box with my dear life, trying to hold it up and prevent it from breaking. As I fell down, the box fell right on top of me. Like, it was still in my hand, but the bag was right here on top of me. And when I fell down, one of my friends was standing at the last step, and she had a rose from the center. Like I said, every Thursday we would distribute the flowers back to the members. She was carrying an orange rose in her hand, which she had just held in her hand like that. She was standing with it. As soon as I fell, my head fell like that. The box is here. And the petal from that rose broke and fell straight on my forehead. I didn't know what was happening, but she was standing there just, everyone had just stopped. And when she said, in that moment, when everything was quiet, there was no movement, no noise, this petal fell on your head, and I knew that you will be all right. Meantime, when I finally landed, my thought was, thank you, Swami, at least the box is fine, in my mind. The robe is fine. Otherwise, my devotion coordinator would have killed me the next weekend. That's what my mind was going on to. And then, because I was so lost in that thought, and I was not making any movement, these guys thought I'm probably passed out or something. So two of the men came forward and they tried to shake me to, like, lift me up. So they lifted me up. My eyes were still closed because I was feeling a little dizzy, and they put me on a sofa. And as I relaxed on my sofa, I closed the eyes, and this orange figure, bright orange light, came right in front of my eyes. It was so beautiful. I didn't want to open my eyes. I'm like, thank you, Swami, for being here and protecting the robe. So these boys, they came and they started slapping me and just shaking me. And then there was one of the girls was a nurse, and they said, no, don't do that. She probably has a concussion. Don't shake her head like that. She'll get a neck injury. So when they did something like that, I opened my eyes. I'm like, what? Can you please let me be in my zone? So they said, seriously, this is what you're going to say? We've all worried about you. Are you okay? So I'm like, yeah, why? What happened? I said, is the robe okay? So she's like, what robe? I'm like, Swami's robe. We have a box. Can you please go and check if is the robe okay? So they all shook their head, and this girl is out of her mind. So somebody is bringing me a whole pack of ice to keep on my head. I'm like, what is going on? Why is everyone like fussing so much over me? So they said, you fell down. We heard a loud crash, and you're waking up and you're just saying, like, as if nothing has happened, you need to go to the hospital. I said, I do not need to go to any hospital. Swami was right here. He's like, So I am seeing this light in the meantime, and they're not seeing it. I'm like, can't you see this is the light? He's right here. Why aren't you focusing on him? He's like, no, we don't see anybody, but we need to get you to the hospital. So I'm not going anywhere. If you really want me to go somewhere, this one of my friends lived close by to my house. I said, maximum I'll go is go to your house. And if in the morning you still feel, if I feel any pain or something, then I will go see a doctor. So that night I went to her place, stayed at her place, felt fine in the morning, but because they were insisting that I should go get myself checked, I went and checked myself out. Of course, there were injuries. I had 2 years of non-stop acupuncture, physical therapy, but I can tell you this much, all that pain was still bearable. I was able to go to work every single day. Whatever pain happened, I did not take a single painkiller any of those 2 years. I did not need it. Swami protected, he guided, and no matter what happened, I strongly believe that that day he again took away some karma in that way. So I can keep talking about Swami over and over again. I do not want to take too much of your time. So I do want to thank Swami with this little few words that I wrote down. Thank you, Baba, for your abundant grace daily, for bringing me to you, for sharing, for showing me the path of love, truth, and service. Thank you for the bliss. Thank you for every morsel that goes into my mouth that is earned by giving, not receiving. For changing my life with all your teachings. For this journey that you have put me on. Thank you. Thank you for everything.